How's it going, everyone? It's Sam. They're still buying Bitcoin. There are some people that are buying more and more Bitcoin here today. I want to talk about that, talk about what's happening in the market. There are a couple big events happening later this week. There's going to be a GDP revision, there's going to be PCE, so it should be a fun week. If you don't mind, hit subscribe, turn on the bell notification underneath the video to see future videos like this as soon as I post them. Also, we will be taking a look at some altcoins here today, but I want to start off with Bitcoin. So stay through to the end if you want to see those altcoin pieces of news. There's also a link down there to Margex. In case you want to trade cryptocurrency on leverage, there is a link to it. You get a bonus of up to 20% that can be used towards fees. They have a bunch of different cryptocurrencies on there that you can trade, and you don't need KYC, so you can set it up within minutes and maybe place your longs because it does look like we're getting an interesting chart pattern. As you can see here, we actually on the algo flipped bullish. Now we're going back to bearish a little bit just on the 1 minute chart. But when you take a longer or broader view of the market here, we are in an interesting pattern. You can see lower highs and lower lows, but the lower highs are being more aggressive than the lower lows, or basically we're seeing a bullish wedge flag. We came up, that's the flagpole. Now we're starting to condense in this low triangle. You can see here, it could go on for a little bit, but then typically we see a breakout. So be ready for this. This is interesting and could be good for Bitcoin. Obviously, we're just in a bullish time in the market. The DCA indicator, the HE algo, is showing dollar cost average. It's almost nailed the bottom every time here. So this range right here, this 50,500 up to about 51,000 seems to be a good area to DCA if you are trying to allocate a little bit more. Did have some take profits though around 53K because we have seen a bit of ranging here. Again, there is a link to HC Algo underneath the video as well if you want to check it out. MicroStrategy just acquired an extra 3,000 Bitcoin for 155 million at an average price of 51,813 per Bitcoin. This, I think, is just happening over the last 30 days or less. As of 2/25/24, MicroStrategy now hodls 193,000 Bitcoin, acquired for 6.09 billion for an average price of 31.544 per Bitcoin. So they've made about $20,000 per Bitcoin, and they have about 193,000 of them. So they made over 3.8 billion, right in that range. Now, the interesting thing about this is they are just about 3,000 Bitcoin away from holding 1% of the circulating supply. This is obviously really bullish because they just keep on buying more Bitcoin off the market. They're long-term holders. Michael Saylor said that he's going to continue to buy the top all the time because he just wants more and more Bitcoin. And this seems like a big buy, but keep in mind, this is nothing compared to some other investors. Like, this is Mr. 100. We don't know who this is, but they're buying about 300 Bitcoin a day. Now, there's some days where they buy 500, some days where they skip a day, but let's say they average 300 Bitcoin a day. That's 9,000 per month, which is 3 times what MicroStrategy just bought if it took them 30 days to do this, which I think is probably pretty accurate. So Mr. 100, just someone that we have no idea who they are, or whatever entity this is, they can buy even more than MicroStrategy, and people don't necessarily see this unless they're watching channels like this where we talk about that. But there are entities that are buying even more than MicroStrategy, even though MicroStrategy is making the splashy headlines. And there are hundreds, if not thousands of billionaires out there, and we see probably 4 or 5 maybe that are consistently buying large amounts of Bitcoin. Whenever there's a new entity that comes into the space, they are sucking up Bitcoin at an alarming rate. So I've done videos on this. There's not going to be much Bitcoin left. And we saw some billionaire buy 26,000 Bitcoin the other day, just one buy of 26,000, which is nuts. Speaking of MicroStrategy, their X account appears hacked with phishing messages. At least $440,000 was stolen. Be careful whenever there's some post on Twitter. Make sure it's official. Never send your crypto anywhere. Make sure that you have different wallets for your crypto so it's not all in one place. And yeah, just be careful out there because there will be more scams, because as the price of crypto goes up, it becomes more profitable to scam people. So be careful. No one's ever going to give you a free lunch. We did have some inflows this week for the weekly asset fund flows report. Now, it did go down a lot from the week before, but we had about 610 million net inflows. Now, part of this was just because Grayscale ticked up last week in their selling, but there was just less going into the other ETFs as well. You can see how it's broken down here, mostly going into Bitcoin, 570 million. Some going into Ethereum, some going into multi-asset, some coming out of Solana, some going into short Bitcoin, and so on. You can pause it if you need to. But does seem like there's some renewed excitement in the altcoin market, maybe just because we have been trending sideways a little bit here. Like Bitcoin's price has just been stuck for a week, 2 weeks, right around 50 to 53,000. But we are seeing altcoins run a little bit more. So if we just go by the 24-hour here, obviously there are always going to be some cryptos running, but Bitcoin's actually underperforming. Bitcoin dominance is going down right now because people are getting a little bit bored. You can see some of the top gainers right now: Gala, Flare, VeChain. VeChain moving for the first time. I mean, I guess it's up 81% in the last 30 days. I didn't realize that. But yeah, overall, pretty good day for altcoins. One altcoin that's doing really well too is Syncus. It's up a decent amount. So it got uploaded to CoinMarketCap at the end of December, but just over like the last 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, it's up 5x. Now it is having a bit of a pullback. I talked about it yesterday, but it's actually, it could be pretty bullish if they just come back and retest basically this prior resistance and just bounce off of that. That could be really big for the next run. It was up to 0.014 yesterday, now down a decent amount after this kind of exponential run. Some news for Dogecoin investors. I'm not a Dogecoin investor, but apparently Twitch is now accepting Dogecoin for turbo subscriptions. And I bring this up mostly because there's something I didn't realize in this. I saw this post from October 21st, 2014, that you could pay for Twitch with Dogecoin. And I thought, oh, that's obviously a scam. Dogecoin wasn't around back then. Ethereum wasn't even around back then. But no, Dogecoin was started in 2013. I didn't realize that. I didn't realize it was one of the first cryptocurrencies out there. So pretty impressive there. Again, I just didn't know it. Obviously, it was made kind of as a joke, but interesting that Twitch started accepting so long ago, right? They must, I mean, we talked about Reddit last week buying Bitcoin. I wouldn't be surprised if Twitch owns some cryptocurrency too. If they were accepting Dogecoin almost 10 years ago, that's pretty impressive. I would not be surprised if they own some Bitcoin on their balance sheet too. Now, that is what I want to cover for today. Let me know if you have any questions underneath the video. Again, you can check out the links to Margex and to HGAlgo. Just because Bitcoin dominance is going down doesn't necessarily mean that I'm bearish on Bitcoin. Just know that we are getting to a point where I think we could see kind of a topping of Bitcoin dominance. That doesn't mean that I'm going to sell all my Bitcoin into alts. Thing about Bitcoin is it's less risky. So even if it underperforms a little bit, it can still be something you want to hold on to for the long term. Now, Ethereum, though, making a bit of a run. This is nice to see. This is one of my top bags, and after it stayed so stagnant for so long, underperforming Bitcoin, it's nice to see it have some strength. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Sorry if I sound a little bit tired or something like that. It's just my voice right now. A little bit sick, but appreciate it. I will see you guys in the next video.